See that little bit of tile roof sticking out from the bamboo behind this abandoned house in front? That's where we're going today. For some perspective, this is the abandoned property in front of the house. There's another abandoned property to the right, and we have to go all the way around and then up to the mountain and to that house from the back side. Alright y'all, in today's wacky adventures at Benton Homestead, we are here on a small island in rural Japan, looking at a house that's listed for sale on a direct buyer to seller bulletin board. We're looking for a nice fellow who's interested in purchasing and renovating a house. And here we are at the property. Let's see what's inside. This is the front door here, and the owner said that the key would be inside the mailbox. And it looks like these pokey, spiky bushes have pulled the mailbox off the house. This appears to be the front walkway, but I'm really not sure where it went. We are literally in the middle of a very overgrown bamboo grove. We've got some nice plants here. It looks like this was once a lovely front yard that is now completely engulfed. Yeah, you can barely even see it. That seems to be the mailbox there in that thicket, which has the key to get inside. It looks like there's been some serious water erosion on this hillside. That seems to be the fence that is quite angled, and there's also a clothesline there. So yes, this was once the front yard. It's just very hard to tell. While Evan's going to get the clippers, I'm going to walk back around the house and just show you the outside here. So again, this was once a nice yard here. We've got some decorative plants. This is something that we have in the side yard of the guest house. This is a nice little clumping bamboo called a heavenly bamboo right there in the front. That looks like some sort of magnolia in the background. Evan would know for sure, but it's completely overtaken by this non-clumping spreading bamboo. So on the outside here, we've got a door that opens, and it seems to go to the well, so that's cool. Moving along to the outside, you can see that we're in a super hilly area because the back of the house here just butts up right to another super tall retaining wall. So we're about halfway up a little mountainside here, and it keeps going up above. Got a little water damage on the outside of the wall here. This is almost certainly caused by leaf buildup in that downspout there, just like our house had. Moving further behind the house, we can see that it's on a pretty solid foundation. However, some of these beams back here do seem to be rotted, even though they are quite elevated from the ground. My guess would be, based on how close we are to the retaining wall here, that there might just be some water coming straight off the mountain, and in heavy rainfalls, probably not all rainfalls, otherwise this house would not still be standing, but in super heavy rainfalls, the water might just come sort of build up here from the retaining wall behind me. Here we can see another water damaged bottom of the post. The rest of the post seems fine. And the shikui plaster on the walls has not been damaged in this section. It's just the bottom area. So you can see the plaster here on the bottom, and the plaster here has gone completely through. So this house is a major fixer-upper, but for the price point of 200,000 yen, it's still a little enticing. So let's see what the buyer thinks after he sees this video. Despite the condition of the house, it does look like the seller has been doing his best to keep the house in nice condition and keep critters out. So these holes here that have been made in the plaster have been covered with grating, and there was also some boar fence on the sidewalk on the way up to try and keep any sort of predators out while the house is up here completely alone. Here we have a peek into the bathroom on the back side of the house. It's got a cool wooden tub, but boy, nice scenic view with your tub. The only entrance to this bathroom with the cool wooden tub is from the back of the house, so this is its own separate outside entrance room. Now this is the back of a separate little garage structure, which has not fared as well as the house. I am still super curious to see what's inside, and I can tell you that this little thing right here is not helping. Peeking inside the garage here from another hole in the wall, it looks like it is a two-story garage structure. I don't know that I would trust walking on that second story, but it's full of some cool things. These seem to be dry and in good condition on the inside. That's a pretty cool old tansu right there. Evan got some clippers and made his way to the mailbox that had been pulled off the house from those vines, and it's empty, so there is not a key in the mailbox like the owner said. But the vines had the mailbox upside down, so he's assuming it fell out. This is our access to the second story of this shed building. Nice. Ah. Alright, so obviously this building is in rough shape, but look at the size of those beams. That's absolutely insane. So since we still can't get into the house yet, I'm just going to take a peek in the other side of this shed building. What do you suppose is in all those boxes? Very neatly organized tools here, and all the tools are painted red. I'm sure at one point this was a very orderly, clean outbuilding for someone who did a lot of gardening and outside work. This looks like boards covering up a hole, so there might be something underneath here. Hiding down here in the spider webs is a very cool samurai helmet. Alright, moving from this shed building over to the main house, there's Evan at the front door still trying to find the key. So we've got a little covered section where the shed meets the house. This door and window is locked as well. Now, if I haven't made it clear already, we do have permission to be here from the seller, and we've been asked to be here on behalf of the buyer to take photos and video. This was once a nice solid wooden desk with dovetail joints right there. And this says Columbia Solid State. That looks like a speaker or amplifier of some kind. Here we see the mailbox and the locked front door. I'm in the front yard here and trying to show you the state. This must have been a semi-landslide, somewhat cataclysmic event here. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but that fence is not okay.
This is the sewer line. It's supposed to be buried.
Here I'm stepping back as far as I can to take a look at the house from the front. So this white structure over here with the roof that's in good condition is the living side of the house. And then over here on the right, the yellow or the plain shikui plaster building, this is what we've been calling the shed. Now from the house, this is a side view of what used to be the front yard. There was probably some nice stairs or something here at some point. But again, the state of this fence down here and the way everything is at an angle that it should definitely not be, there's been some landslide issues here for sure. Alright, Evie got in.
Oh, sweet record.
And once again, because I don't want anyone thinking that we're here without permission, we have permission from the seller to be here. However, it's been so long since the seller was here, he didn't know that Vines had pulled the mailbox off the front of the house and made it so the house key has disappeared somewhere in those brambles. So, let's get inside. Okay, so first thing we see is that there has been a cat or other small creature with cute paw prints in here. This can of beer expired in 2016. That's not too long ago. Turns out, even from the inside of the front door, it won't unlock. So even if we did find the key, we would have had to gone in through the side window anyways. Alright, so at this point, we're inside the house, inside the front door, in the small little doma here. And I'm going to try and do just a longer video without cutting as much, so we can take the tour of this house and help our potential buyer buddy from Australia decide if it's worth the 200,000 yen investment. Got some photo albums, my favorite thing. So far in this first room, we're seeing kitty paw prints and some vines growing, but no water damage. The floor feels good.
Here it doesn't.
Evan says not in the other room. What we're looking for primarily is spots on the ceiling, soft spots on the floors, rotten wood, anything that makes it feel structurally unsafe. What are we looking at here? This is dirt on the floor. That's most likely mud coming in from the tiles and the ceiling above, or was sort of tracked in by an animal. So let's try and figure that out first. Evan says he thinks this is poop because it's got seeds in it. So he thinks it was from something perching above. Don't really know. To potentially corroborate that, the ceilings directly above do not seem to have any water damage. So that is definitely a possibility that it's either tracked in or it's not dirt at all. Back in the living room here, and I just want to reiterate that everything in these first rooms is in decent condition. So far we have not seen any sort of water damage or anything like that. We have the identical light fixture in our guest house. Many old photographs here. This is amazing. So this room has a wall of these closet doors. So we've got two closets there. They look to be full of stuff. We've got the tokonoma and this beautiful built-in wooden cupboard. So here you can see the three sort of living rooms flowing together. At first glance, the closets seem to be full of blankets. Got some very nice little pieces and display items here on the tokonoma. That is a vintage sewing machine. This is like an engawa here, so this is a little hallway separating the living room from the outside of the house. And if we go down here, it seems to be a little bit more of a modern section. We've got a step down. Here we've got some wallpaper. They would call these more of the Western style rooms. So we've got a massage chair here, washing machine. That is a large retro vanity right there. Moving down the hallway, This is the bathroom. So there is another bathroom besides that first outside room that we saw. There's a second bathroom here with a nice stainless steel sink. I just had a piece of dust. I thought it was a spider. Okay, that's the window Evan came through, so I just closed it. So we're making sure we're leaving this house in the same condition that we found it. All right, continuing down this hallway here. Got some storage boxes. Here is a toilet room and another little hand washing sink. I like these little vertical tiles in this little sink cubby. As should be expected in the Japanese countryside, especially when living inside a bamboo thicket, we've got some serious big spider action going on. Nice retro glass pattern and some cool interlocking beams here. Amazingly, this bathroom window was open, but it's so far under an eave up there that there is no water damage inside from this window being open for who knows how long. I just closed it, and even though it's a wooden window on a wooden frame, it slid very easily. Alright, continuing on the tour, this room should bring us back around towards the living rooms we were in before. So we're walking into a bedroom here. We've got some beautiful wooden sliding doors right there, beautiful wooden glass sliding doors behind the bed, and a wall of furniture over here. There's a pearl necklace right there on the table. A cool old TV. That's a nice little wooden feature right there. Another closet inside this room. And the ceilings in here do not seem to have any sort of water spots. Exiting the bedroom here to this room that goes back around to the living room. This is a big house, but this is the spot Evan has warned me has soft floor. So this is a tatami room, meaning that the softness in the floor could be from the tatami aging. We had some of our tatami age and soften, or it could be the beams underneath, which are oftentimes pretty small, and as we experienced, fairly easy to replace the subfloor underneath a tatami room. But the question would be, why is it soft?
We got some natural daylight coming through a hole in the wall in this closet.
That's a feature. So we're still in the room with the soft floor here, and there's definitely a little bit of mildew on this desk. So I would say of all the rooms so far, this is the only one that has any sort of wetness in it, but it's definitely a concern. It just is a question of how big of a concern, how big of an issue is it to fix. And the closets here are also just stuffed with blankets. This is definitely some water damage. Another little bit of water damage here. Up above this room we've got a upper room with no access besides a wooden ladder. Alright, the next room is the kitchen here. It's actually in pretty nice shape. Kitchen's alright. Nice cupboard here. Not really sure what's going on here with all this aluminum.
That's just for a splatter from the stove.
Wow, okay, alright. Looks like it's got one of those instant hot water heaters. Seems to be in decent shape. Evan's going upstairs. I was wrong, it's not a wooden ladder, it's a metal ladder. What do you see up there? Alright, so upstairs, it's like a half-finished upstairs, which is really interesting. You don't usually see these in the Japanese houses. You would just see the The beams, oh, it's too dark to even film that. I can take pictures, but I can't film. They've gotten tatami mats up here and a giant tansu, and have covered up the wooden beams to make a little wooden ceiling here and added a ceiling light.
Beautiful old tansu. I have no idea how they got this up into the attic.
We got a little bit of light showing over here so you can see the size of the beams that this house is built with. It's really impressive. This is the unfinished portion of the upstairs. Alright, coming down from the attic, passing through the kitchen into what I believe is the last room of the house. Evan came in here before me and said this one has lots of water damage. So yeah, we've got some mildew on the walls here. There's some holes up there. There's a big hole up there. This floor feels pretty soft, so I'm guessing that we've just got some roof tiles out of place up there, and they probably have been for a while. But again, like, this furniture is still savable. That furniture looks savable, so it's not like this whole room is getting wet, but definitely some roof and floor and wall repair in this room. Got another little fridge there. That I think that's just clear plastic with leaves on it. That's not holes. Although this is one of those outside cement floor rooms. And Evie told me to expect a little surprise in here. We've got a crab living in a bucket of water. How on earth did this guy get in this bucket? And how is he surviving? Hey, buddy. Alright, not really sure what to do with our crab friend there. Should we release him? He seems to be living in there. Maybe he just got in there. Don't really feel comfortable leaving a crab in a bucket of water inside this house, but we've reached the end of the house tour. This is the door that we could not open from the outside earlier. So I'm going to sort of retrace my steps a little bit and figure out what we should do with that crab. There's not an immediate body of water that we can just go put him in. Interesting. Okay, so walking back through the kitchen, here we can see it from the other angle. Kitchen here. That room there with the kotatsu heating table, that's the one that has a soft floor. Beyond that is the bedroom. So over there are the living rooms. And then this is the back side of the front door and the first room that we entered. That's the kitchen, and to the right is the room with water damage, the room with the extensive water damage, oops, and the crab. And then over here, we've got the room with just a little bit of water damage. Beyond that is the bedroom. And then beyond that is the back Western style hallway with the toilet room and the bathroom that had that stainless steel bathtub. So it's a pretty big house. There's a lot of room. Got some wood floor rooms, some tatami rooms. It's mostly the Japanese style with this little side area that honestly was probably an add-on in the Western style. The majority of the house is the traditional Japanese style. So yeah, actually now that I say that, it's almost certain this room probably had an outside bathroom, or that original tub room that we peeked in earlier might have been the original bathroom. This is definitely a add-on. It's more modern construction, not only because it's in the Western style, but it definitely looks a lot newer than the rest of the house. You can see as soon as we turn this corner, it just makes sense with the floor plan that this is the original section and then that was probably added on at some point. Anything interesting?
No, it's I don't know, community college certificate industry knowledge. Yeah.
Definitely flip through these photo albums real quick. Anyway, I think that gives a good idea of the layout. All these interior doors are beautiful. We've got lots of the mix-matched retro glass patterns. None of the glass is broken, which is nice. Got some furniture, lots of display pieces, lots of vintage items, loads of blankets and clothes, which is what you can expect. Yeah, it's got a lot of pros and a lot of cons for the price. Alright, we decided to let Mr. Krabby free. Could not leave him in that tub, just in case he was a prisoner there by accident. Oh, he's bringing him around. He's a man crab?
He's a man crab.
Alright, put him and his algae outside. He's a big boy.
He likes sports and trucks.
Alright, so we let Mr. Krabby go, and we're heading back out to the truck. And I happen to see this little sinkhole here, so we're on the side of a mountain. And it looks like there's been just a lot of land that has moved from the front yard. So I would expect there to be additional little sinkholes like this around the outside of the house. Now, we didn't really see any structural damage with the house itself. It doesn't look like the house has shifted. There's issues with the house. There's water damage. There's floor damage. There's some rot. But I don't think the house has shifted when all this land shifted, but I am not an expert. I'm not one to make that call for sure. I'm going to take one last walk behind the house. Here you can see how close the retaining wall is that continues up the mountain. I didn't notice earlier that the bottom of this wall that has the cool tub inside is made out of brick. That's kind of unique. We also now know that this hole goes directly to the living room closet. This is the room inside that had some water damage. Obviously, we can also see that outside. However, directly to the left of it is the kitchen window there, and that room didn't have any damage. That brings us back around to the front of the house. So over there in those vines is the front door and what used to be the front yard before it washed down part of the mountain. And I'm assuming this was all open as well. This looks to be fairly young bamboo overgrowth. What I'm going to try and do here is just walk over to this fence so we can see what kind of view we once had. Here we've got a foundation, and there is another structure right over there. Let's go see our view. So this is the fence. You can imagine if all this bamboo was cleared away, you'd be able to see quite a distance. We've got the mountains of the small island in the distance there. This is another retaining wall in front of the house. There's also a beautiful large pond out there that you might be able to see probably from the front door. This was a really beautiful spot at one point. This is the neighboring house. You can tell where the property line starts because there is a little tiny retaining wall between the two houses. It looks abandoned. We've got some vines growing up it as well, but I don't have permission to go over there. I don't know anything about this house. Now we've got a little bit of concrete poured here on the hillside, so it looks like at one point they were trying to stop the erosion. You know, it's possible that all this bamboo that has grown up is actually helping hold the front yard in place. It's really interesting. I don't know that I would buy a house that is missing part of its front yard from a possible, probable landslide. But there's still a lot of room here. Here's the bamboo. That's the cliffside just on the other side of the bamboo. There's the cycads, and then that back there is the house behind. Alright, that's the tour. Now we're gonna walk down the way that we came up. It was a little hard to get up here, and there's some neighbors, so I don't want to be talking and filming and disturb them. But I am going to film a little bit on the way down just so you can see the access that we were able to find. And some neighbors have put some grating here that is boar deterrent, inoshishi deterrent. And the way up that we found is up and around this way. And again, I'm just going to be quiet and film so we don't disturb the neighbors on the way down to our truck. This looks like it might be a road access from somewhere else, possibly the other side of the mountain, or somewhere further up. It's at an angle that you could drive to the house, but I don't think you could really make this turn, which is the way that we walked up. So I'm not sure what's up there. It comes from further up the mountain. Possibly K-truck access if it was cleared. This is the way we came. Don't think that one's inhabited. I do think that one's inhabited. You can see you can't get a truck through here. This is definitely just walking access. But you might be able to get a truck through that other way. Just not sure where that road comes out from. We'll have to do some studying on the map. This is pretty steep. If this was raining, this house has definitely got somebody living here, so I want to be quiet. Got some fruits. Look how steep this gets. Alright y'all, that's a wrap.